Hello, my name is Kirsty Dignam, and I'm here today for something different. Normally, the videos that I share on a Monday are to look at the weekly energies and how to best navigate them. Today, as you watch this, I will be going to have some dental surgery, and I will not be or haven't got any plans to be returning to YouTube or social media until January 2026. So to look into the energies for the week ahead, which is something I would normally do, whilst I could stretch it and examine the next 2 weeks, feels as if it's more of an opportunity to look at things that are shifting, things that we are making space for, and the overall undercurrent of it all as we end 2025. To do so, I'm going to do a medicine wheel reading. And this is something that I offer individually and as a group, both to personal situations and business situations. And I base it around the emphasis that everything has a soul, that everything has an energy, and that everything has a opportunity, a journey of change, ourselves included. As we go into the next few weeks from now until 2026, we may find ourselves questioning that. We may find ourselves wanting something different. The biggest invitation will be whether or not we are willing to admit that, to allow things to come to completion in order to achieve that, and to make space for that. Having my teeth repaired, removed, replaced is not something that I want to do. For those that know me, I have tried to fight this for 6-7 years, possibly more, and done very well against all odds with healing, with sound, with my own journey. I've managed to keep the teeth that were going to be taken probably nearly a decade ago. At what cost? This is the things we will be facing over the next few weeks. What have we achieved? Is it really an achievement? What is the cost? The truth of the matter is there's been an underlying impact on my body that has made circumstances harder than they needed to be. And that can be very hard to come to terms with and to admit ourselves responsible for. Often when we are trying to achieve something on an individual level, we can lose sight of the greater picture. And this is what we're being asked to feel into over the next few weeks. There may be things that we are encouraged to let go of, to release, at times to have removed from us in order to repair something that we have yet to see the light of day of, yet to see the effect of. And whether or not we're willing to trust that. Whether or not we're willing to recognize the importance of ourselves within that. I'm aware that I can continue to offer healing to my body and continue to get by, to make do, to struggle with the constant infection. And I'm aware that I've done it this long, and it does mean that my life will stay the same. But I'm also acutely aware, and that feels like the emphasis over the next few weeks. How aware are we? How many times can I say that? That also feels like I'm acutely aware that things can be better. Something we're all going to find ourselves facing over the next few weeks, whether that's our health, our work, our family situations. Things can be better. The question is, it's not about it not being good enough. It's about there being more potential and us recognizing our worth within that and how far we have come. The question is, will we allow them to be? It can be very comfortable to stick to old routines, old patterns, old ways of being, and many of these have got us where we are. Sometimes by letting go of the characters we've become, had to be in order to survive, we can step into the versions of ourselves that can now thrive as a result. A few things have come through today that I will share, and then I will get on with the reading. One of the things that's come through is to not swiftly or quickly step away from things we may not feel there's a relation to be open to situations, scenarios, and people we may feel that we have nothing in common with, but actually there could be a greater wisdom behind that and a greater potential behind that. Over the next few weeks, making space as much as we can for those unusual connections to come into play. The other thing that's coming through is it's not about the message itself, but the energy behind it. It's going to be pivotal over the next few weeks into 2026. It's going to be an opportunity to differentiate between what we hear and what we're really hearing. I wanted to say that. What we're really hearing, and to be honest with that. An example, I'm doing a medicine wheel reading, so it would make sense, right? It would make sense to use more indigenous cards to do this. But I'm drawn to the Light Seers Tarot for today's reading. The wonderful creator, Chris Ann Donnelly, behind them, I've met in person in Canada, and her energy is what I'm tapping into. The message will always be the same. The message will be what it needs to be. It's about the person that is providing it over the next few weeks and whether or not we can relate enough to them, connect enough to them to truly open ourselves up to what is wanting to be received. If you find yourself in situations where you're unable to do so, looking at why you may have picked that particular person or scenario to bring forward that message and whether or not you want to hear it. The other thing that I want to share, other than we all have more in common than we realise, and that's going to come to light over the next fortnight. With the solstice, it's not just going to be the light returning, but all the things that have been hidden, obviously, in the darkness until then. So those situations where we may have felt triggered, not wanting to be around them, as if they hold nothing for us, could very well bring something to light that we hadn't seen before. Again, how willing are we to open that gift, to even see it as a gift? The other thing that really came up today was getting clear on not what we want. It's not about what we want. And next year, if we go into 2026, it's not that intentions aren't important. Of course they are. On surface level, for building blocks, they are important, particularly if you need them to keep focus, but not to get too lost and caught up in them. January, we're going to see a lot of new year, new you, as we do, and growth is great. I'm not saying anything about growth, but please be mindful that in the old cycles, in the old calendars, in the old seasons, January would not be a time to start new things. So please be compassionate with yourself. If you find yourself beginning something but not quite having the oomph behind it, give yourself till spring, February at least, with in bulk. Be aware of the seeds that you might want to plant from now until then by being more open to receive some of the information that's coming in that will show you exactly where you are and some of the things that you may need to release in order to do so. That is a seed in itself. Reflection is a seed. Reflection is an action. Give that more space, give that more credit. Come February time, I'm not going to make a whole reading about the year ahead, although I may do in my time out and I may post it in January. Come February time, yes, that's when we start to really plant things that we have discovered upon our own reflection. But until then, it's not that intentions aren't important. It's about recognizing that intentions are born from inner tensions of where we are and where we would like to be. And it's more important to recognize our ability to sit with that push-pull type energy, particularly in Sagittarius season. How comfortable can we be being where we are, knowing that we're moving forward and feeling the discomfort, the leveling up that is occurring? What do we need in order to be in that liminal space between it? Because next year isn't about intentions. Yes, it is the magician year, and yes, there is great creative potential there. Next year is about what we channel. Next year is about the energy we connect to. Next year is about the energy we allow to come through us to be born. Concentrate on your ability to do that first. Concentrate on presence with where you are. There was something I was going to share about that. Yes, of course. From there, what you actually want hasn't changed, but the version of you has. Okay, the version of you that may have originally wanted something has changed. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want it anymore, but that your own value, your own energy, and your own, awareness of yourself within what you are trying to create has the potential to be seen truly from yourself for what it is. It's one thing to see the bigger picture. It's one thing to see the future of something. Do you include yourself within that? Over the next few weeks, take some time. Where are you? Where would you like to be? What realistically has to be put into place with that? Is there anything else? So that kind of goes against what I was saying about intentions. And there may be some discrepancies, some conflict and some confusion if we try and understand things too much. It's more about the felt sense here. So when I say, where are you? Where would you like to be? What's the difference and what can you put into place? I mean energetically. Thank you. Let's get clear. What do we mean energetically? Said it before, say it again. There's no point signing up for something if you don't feel as if it's possible. There's no point trying to achieve something if in your energy space you are not matching that. That's not about judgment. That's about how much room can you make to conceive with this energy. What do you need to shift in order to make what you're trying to achieve relatable on a frequency level? For me, there's been a big chunk of some of the things that I would like to do that would require more money. That's the cold hard truth. It would require more money or more land, more availability, more contacts, more scope, more expansion. And underneath it all, there's been this great worry that I may change as a person because it's what I've seen. And obviously, because it's part of my concern, it's something that I continue to see reflected back to me until I can work with it. Yesterday, I was at the market and at our local market, offering donation healings and things like that for December. And I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. And I had a moment where I knew, regardless of where I was financially or physically or whatever in my life, how famous or unfamous or recognized or whatever I would be, I would still be doing this. Not necessarily the market per se, although I'd like to think so, but I would still be the energy that was there. This isn't something that we don't know, but we can expect over the next few weeks for that to really become more embodied. Okay. Anything else on that before I look at the reading? No. Right. So I'm going to do a medicine wheel for the next few weeks on a collective level and how to best individually navigate that or add to that. Okay. At the center of every medicine wheel reading that I do the archetypal energy of the situation. So where we are collectively right now as we head into 2026. We have the Five of Swords. We have this energy of, has anything actually mentally moved forward? We have this energy of there actually being mental change here, depending on what we choose to focus on. Do we listen to that nagging voice in our ear that says nothing is going to shift, nothing is possible? Or do we look at the journey that we've had, how far we've come, and see this character in the distance that has let it all go, that has used it to move forward? There's blood on the floor here that has literally shed blood, sweat and tears to get where it needs to be, and allow that to be the voice inside of our heads. In the north, from the space of the unknown or ancestral energy or hummingbird energy, this new journey that is beginning for us all as we go into 2026, we have the Hanged Man. We have an opportunity here to see things from a different perspective, including that nagging voice. What would happen if those parts of ourselves that we believe are holding us back actually became our greatest foundation forward? How can we see that differently? I could have very easily got caught up in my journey with needing more money or being concerned that I would change and not investigated it. Instead, with curiosity over the next few weeks, how can we lean into this? How can we allow all these different perspectives that are going to be coming in hold us, shift us, show us something different now? In particular, in regards to the Christ-like consciousness, in particular, in regards to this time of year, how can we see the festive season differently? How can it become more than just a mental headache that we're trying to get through? How can we return it back to the luminous source of creation that it was, whether that's the birth of Christ, whether that's the return of the light? It doesn't matter what religion you link that to. What is it you believe in here? Globally, collectively, individually, what do we actually believe in? What archetypes are we embodying as a result of that? Is that helping us to shift the narrative or to conveniently support outdated ones? What I'm seeing is the difference in this version of the Hanged Man. Rather than him being tied to a tree, even in the old decks, he is actually quite relaxed. He's in a very relaxed pose. But rather than being tied to a tree by his feet, this hanged man, this hanged woman, actually, this hanged feminine is flowing, is comfortable, is relaxed, and choosing to be supported. Can we take this time of uncertainty, of change, and rather than believe it is holding us back, allow it to show us where we need encouragement and support to see things differently, particularly ourselves? In the space of the East, we have, in the space of new beginnings, or the grander picture here, the eagle and the condor, we have the King of Pentacles. There's solid, grounded vision based on what we've discovered, based on what we have learned. And what I really feel here is the libraries in the background, the Akashic libraries, but there are other libraries that are opening up to us. There are other levels of knowledge and wisdom that are opening up to us. And how far we can go into them, how much we understand and read from them, will depend on how willing we are to seek something different. Can we allow things that have become stale to show us where we need to grow? Can we be mature in that growth? Can we sit with here you have the little wolf, the animal instinct. Can we sit with that undomesticated feminine that says, you've learned all of this. Be comfortable with where you are. Be comfortable with the wisdom that you have gained and decide how you're going to take that forward. A lot of wisdom, every aspect of wisdom, can only go as far as what we share. Once we start to teach, once we start to share, once we start to offer what we have gained, that's when we really see how far we've come. Yes, that can bring, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know, I might need to work on this a bit more. I might need to reflect on this a bit more. I'm not sure. I need to see this from another perspective, or not, as the case may be. But the grounding growth here comes from knowing you've done all you can with this situation in this present moment. And in order for things to expand, it is about taking it and yourself to the next level. We can either be in the very insecure, young mentality of the masculine and continue to question everything, or we can allow the feminine instinct to be held, to be supported in those times of uncertainty, and allow a more stable, dependable version of our own masculinity, our own actions, to come into play, where we can allow that wild side of us that may not feel 100% safe or 100% certain to be at peace, knowing that whatever actions we take will be what we need. and what is needed in the greater scheme of things because of everything we've discovered. In the place of the South, we have the King of Wands. We have a lot of masculine energy in the collective, which is no surprise, right? As we come into the solstice, that's what it's all about. Whether, again, it's the birth of Christ, whether it's, I don't know a lot about Hanukkah and other religions, so that's why I'm using those two as an example. Whether it's the returning of the light with the solstice, we have a lot of masculine energy here. But the Hanged Man, the Christ consciousness in the tarot, the Buddha, if you will, is feminine in this deck. And that feels very important because it's why I chose the deck. That energy that runs through it is more feminine, but also it feels important to recognize. One of the conversations I was having at the market the other day was with a wonderful woman that makes a lot of goddess related items. And we were talking about the masculine and the feminine, but how everything has to go through creation to be born, how everything has to go through the vessel of creativity, which is feminine in its very nature, which is the goddess in its very nature. There's a return to that wisdom. There's a return to that understanding that we all go through the womb. We are all born through the womb. And with that comes a much stronger, reliant connection to spirituality, to creativity, a need to protect that isn't coming from believing that energy is weaker than, or reliant upon, or dependable upon, but out of sacredness. And that's what we have in the space of the South, the present moment, the aspect that's actually being healed. We have the King of Wands here with that beautiful lion energy behind it, that sovereignty behind it. However, I am seeing the royal family as well. So obviously we do have the King's speech coming, but there's an energy here of healing the parts of us that may not have felt as if we could rely on the energies that were in charge, whether that's externally or our own, by recognizing how far we have come in those moments of doubt, by acknowledging that actually it's been the intuitive wisdom that has come through, but wouldn't have been able to come through if we hadn't had those wobbles. In the space of the West, it feels really important not to continue to go over things, because I could feel myself almost being pulled back there to the energy of the sacred union and all that kind of thing. And we know this now. So in the space of the West, in Jaguar and in the shadow, it feels really important at those end points to acknowledge what we've learned and acknowledge what we know and take it forward. Yes, we have the Queen of Wands. So we have the counterpart of this present moment. As we go into 2026, it is our solid actions and decisions that will bring forth the magic that we need for 2026. It's one thing to talk about intentions. It's one thing to talk about the magician year or the horse year or whatever you want to call it, the 1 year. It's one thing to talk about all of these prophesized potentials, but if we don't name the energy that runs through it, if we don't relate to the energy that runs through it, if we don't look at where we are open to, lacking, or restricting the energy that needs to run through it, it is pure potential, nothing more, nothing less. So as we lead into 2026, seeing the Christ light, seeing the light returning, seeing the wisdom that we've gained, seeing the lessons that we have seen, the prophecies that we have narrated, the actions that we have taken, for the wisdom now in those times of uncertainty that is going to spark us, that is going to help us move forward, create magic. Yes, we have the return of the feminine magi. I've written about it in the New Moon blog. Yes, we have the return of the dark feminine. Yes, we have the return of the great mother. Really acknowledging those virgin-like energies not for their purity, but for their belonging to no thing and no one and no person, that sovereign right to create what we're here to create. We have all of that next year. But if we cannot acknowledge it within us and we continue to doubt that, round and round and round we go, right? So we have one major arcana. What do we have at the bottom of the pack? We have the Knight of Cups. Seeing Christmas for the romantic energy that it is, seeing magic for the romantic energy that it is, knowing that we need that open heart, that we need that charm, that we need to be drawn to what it is we want. We need intentions, of course we do. The King of Swords underneath. We need that attraction on a physical level. You know, ego drive is okay. It's a spark. We need that. Oh yeah, I'd really like to, I don't know, win the lottery, or I'd really like to get a new house or have a relationship. We need those initial temptations, almost those tantalizing things that we yearn for to spark something greater within us. Okay, but that's not all of it. The intention isn't all of it. What's the energy that we need behind it? Well, we have the horse. We have that horse that is ready to charge, that is ready to be ridden forward, that is ready to start making that movement. Underneath that, we have the King of Swords. What direction are we going? How aligned are we to that? What level of wisdom are we going to do it from? Like I say, there's a lot of libraries that are opening up. There's a lot of connections that are opening up. There's a lot of, see it as elevator floors that are opening up, which you can get to from one moment in time. Okay, so, you know, you can be meditating and you can connect to the Akashic libraries. You can be meditating and next thing you know, you can be in the galactic. It's really that, I'm not going to say easy, open at the moment. Go to the level that you're comfortable at if you want to. That's entirely up to you. Go wherever you want to go, but know that every level has its bigger picture. Every level has its greater need. Every level has its own directive. Okay, so as we lead into 2026, know that every level of your understanding and learning is the level of magic you will be practicing at and from. A lot of masculine energy here. We have one major arcana, however, like I've said before, which is the Hanged Man, and she is feminine. She is feminine. If in doubt, come back to your nurturing, intuitive self. Hold that. Be held by that. Be grounded in this expansive frequency that is coming in from now over the next few years, most definitely, but definitely from now until 2032. It's the next cycle, of the Mayan calendar. So be held by your own wisdom, but know that the more comfortable you are in who you are, the more you will be expected, shall we say, to get curious with who you could be as well. This isn't about not being good enough. This really, really goes beyond that. This is about life, living, creativity, enjoying the craziness that it is. Okay, we then have 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. We have 2 wand cards here, the King and Queen of Wands. Yes, we do have that sacred union. Yes, we do have those things coming together, but the King is holding the wand and then it's almost like he's give it to the Queen. And that could be collectively. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not one to get too caught up in the personal politics of life, shall we say, but that could very well be collectively that the wand is given to the Queen rather than the King as we go into 2026. However, what is given to her isn't where she's directing her gaze. What she has received as a gift, as a birthright, as a means of hard work, however that may be, that creative energy, that creative recognition isn't what she's looking at. She's looking at the other hand that has nothing in it but her own light and the many, many lights around her that she has either lit from it or been lit from. As we go into 2026, yes, our actions need to be driven, focused, grounded, powerful, simply by recognizing the light that we are within them. Simply by appreciating those that have brought that out within us, circumstances, people, situations, and by sharing that with others, so that we can do the same for them, because that brings us alive as well. Next year, the 1 year, the magician year, the full year, the Heoka year, the Wheel of Fortune year, but recognizing that the light, the sun year, the light, the year of the light is what's going to keep the changes moving. You know, we talk about the magician and how he channels the energy through, but if you think in shamanic terms of the Taurus, or even scientific terms of the torus of energy that comes down through the body, down into the ground and up and round, it continues to circulate. Acknowledge those that have brought you alive. Share it with those that may need it. That's going to bring you alive as well. Anything that stands in the way of that from now until 2026, anything that stops that energy of flow, that horse-like wisdom from moving, focus on how that is holding you back mentally. Focus on how that nagging voice, whether that's I don't have enough, whether that's, well, it's scarcity. Focus on how scarcity is affecting the mindset in regards to everything that you've gained and understood, in regards to how you see the world and yourself within it. We then have 2 sword cards. So we have the King of Swords and the Five of Swords. In those moments of uncertainty, my whole screen just went then because I tapped what was in front of me. In those moments of uncertainty, hands down, okay, this is where I am. We may not know what we want. We may not know where things are going. We may not know who's coming round for Christmas dinner, right? But we know who we are. We know what we're capable of. In the times of uncertainty, what do you know? Build upon that. Too many situations have had their foundations connected to unstable, unfamiliar, unknown, or perhaps familiar and not wanting to grow roots. Okay, so what do you know? Build upon that. Some of the times when I meditate, or particularly of late, when I've been connecting to the different levels, the different libraries, the different things of wisdom, some of them I really do not understand. So I continue to go up and up and up until I feel a energy that I do understand, that I do relate to, that is heart expansive, that is clearer energetically, that feels more me, that feels more relatable to me. And that actually takes me to many different layers from there. So what I'm getting at here is to connect to the vibration that you know as your own. And from there, look at what is going on. Fully embodied. But I might not know what I know. I might not know who I am. You do. And that's the Seven of Cups underneath that's bringing all of this indecision. When we don't know what's going on, when we're not clear, it's because we've become separate. Take a moment, pause, have presence, see that for the beauty that it is. Be with what is occurring, provided it's safe, obviously. In the King of Cups, he's got off of the steed. He's not on the horse. The horse is ready to moving forward when he is ready. Pause. Be with the messages that you are receiving. Okay, we then have 1 Pentacle card that is the King of Pentacles. So we have that 1 Cup card there as well. So we have 2 of Cups. So that's nice and balanced. 1 cards are balanced, sword cards are balanced, cup cards are balanced. We have 2 of each, this union here. We have 1 Pentacle card, which is the King of Pentacles. It isn't a major arcana that's grounding. So it's not life around us that's going to give that stability at the moment. It is ourselves within it. It is how we choose to be with it and what we want to share as a result of it. Is there anything else to add on that? No. Okay. So what I am going to do is pull a card from the most beautiful deck, The Way of the Horse, by Linda Kohanov. You think I'd know how to say a name by now. I've used this deck for absolute years. And I'm picking this because one, horses. I have a real affinity with horses, having been brought up with them. But two, it is the year of the horse next year. So let's see what their wisdom wants to share with us as we move into 2026. Take your time. Let things fold down. Have by your side what you need to understand the situation. If in doubt, look up. And the reason I say look up, sometimes we can almost trip over our feet because we're focusing on the path in front rather than seeing the potential. But also when we look up, we look into the part of our brain that brings forward memories and clarity. Okay. One card for now till 2026. So we have the card 23. Now I will look at what Linda writes about this card, but what I see here is a herd moving to one side, still going, keeping up with the pace, being guided to do so by the wind around them. Bear in mind the year of the horse as well. I know it's a fire horse, but the wind horse is the mind. Okay, so be very mindful of our thoughts and the impact that that has on our own spiritual ambition and drive and energy. My teeth, I don't want to lose them. I didn't want to lose them for many, many, many reasons that I've looked at from all different angles. And there's also the reason that I just didn't want to. I wanted to keep them. I've worked hard at keeping them. However, keeping up with that pace, getting caught in that mental loop. What else can I do? What else can I do? How can I fix this? How can I do? Has stopped me from being able to see the impact of it on my body, which if I'd taken a moment to pause, I wouldn't change the outcome because I wouldn't be where I am now. But for future outcomes, I refuse to continue doing that. And that will be the message of the horse as we go into 2026, because the herd is moving forward. It's being guided by horses that are in the clouds here. But what's breaking through the horses in the clouds, the light, you can't quite see the horse's face there, but the light that's coming through is showing the horse standing still, looking directly at us. A black horse, a dark horse. Those that may have read the blog, the theme tune for the new moon in Sagittarius, the new moon, regardless, the theme tune is the dark horse. It's time to get real, to look at what's facing us, it's okay to see all these different angles and these different meanings, that hanged man energy, but the hanged man is Odin with the runes. At one point he gets off of the tree, having given up his sight so that he can see different things, and says, this is how I see it now. Based on this is the wisdom that I've received, and this is what I'm going to share. The horse for 2026 is going to stand in front of us and ask the exact same thing. Are we ready to start sharing what we have discovered? Are we ready to create magic and to be responsible for the consequences of that? Are we ready to be heard? Are we going to continue running with the herd, or are we ready to make a stand and be heard by ourselves? It is number 23. 23 is the number of change. Every time I've lived at 23, so much has happened, but 23 is the number of change. But it comes from union with ourselves, with creativity. So you have the 2 and the 3, and together the 5, based on what we have learned and our experiences. Next to that, we have 14, which is waves. Waves, like a riding of the waves here, that is in the shape of a horse. And underneath that, thank you. Yes, mentally, we're going to be tempted to run with the herd, but it is time from now until 2026 to stop, pause as that light starts to break through and come in, take stock of what's in front of us, really look at the dark horse, really see ourselves for the dark horse also, and take some responsibility for what we're creating by acknowledging the energy we're feeling before we do so. Yes, it's going to bring some emotional waves. Yeah, we have the number 14 here. We have the Magician and we have the Emperor. And together again, we have that number 5. So our thoughts and our emotions are going to be shook up from now until the beginning of 2026. Can we ride them? Can we get to the very center of them? Can we look them in the face? There are emotions. Can we be with them instead of trying to control them? Can we recognize what we feel for the transformative power that it holds? Underneath that, we have card 33. You couldn't write this. You have the Fire Horse, which is what next year is all going to be about. The Christ consciousness, the self-mastery, not self-control, we talk about patriarchy and bringing down the patriarchy. What about the patriarchy within ourselves that tells us how we should feel, how we should stop something or go with something, what perceptions and judgments we have of something? Can we just be with it without trying to fix it? Can we appreciate it? Can we embrace it? Can we acknowledge our emotions for the creative magic that they are? They are the flow that is going to keep that wheel moving next year. The more we repress that, the less change there's going to be. So let's see what the book says. 42 minutes. Okay. So card 23 is called The Herd, of course. So authentic community, consensual leadership, and balancing individual and group needs. It's that bigger vision there. Okay, the magic doesn't stop just with us. Intentions are great. They are the initial spark. We will be asked to really bring them through our body, to do our work, to allow things that need to shift, to be lit up by others and light up others also, to recognize that we are each other. There is that community feel next year, even though it's a 1 year, and that's going to be the biggest mistake people make, getting so caught up in the one energy. No, it's not about the individual, but about recognizing the collective within us all. So, running across the open plain, a dark horse is captivated by sunlight shining through an apparition in the clouds. Pausing briefly, he gathers confidence in his unique talent and wisdom, preparing to accept a leadership role when he rejoins the herd. I know that from now until 2026, with the solstice and with all the intense energies coming through and Christmas, it can seem quite strange to slow down in a world where this is the busiest time of year. But that is externally. Internally, we are linked to the earth, we are linked to the seasons, and there is an essence of wintering where able also, or being given the opportunity to do so. Why? Because when we return, just like the solstice, we will return with the light that we have lost by being out of tune in our own cycles. So the gift, when we trade leadership roles according to who's calmest, clearest, and most creative in a given situation, the entire community benefits. Next year, I've said it before, but next year will definitely be a year where those that may not have considered themselves leaders will be standing up and being seen by themselves within a situation, within the community, for what they bring. It's important they recognize their importance in that also and start to take care of themselves for what will be asked of them. You may not think yourself a fighter or someone that is that likes the spotlight or wants the attention or anything like that, and you may think because of that you're not a very good leader. A lot of horse herd mentality will go for the calm herd member. Okay, the challenge, consensual leadership is not a job description. It's an improvisation. To be confident in your own dreams and talents while remaining responsive to the needs and gifts of others, you must check your ego at the gate. Pecking order is a strangely popular term, originally applied to poultry. It doesn't characterize the behavior of all birds, let alone horses and people. Yet books about everything from sibling rivalry and office politics to natural horsemanship hold this rudimental concept of social organization as a template for leadership. Yeah, so the calm mare. It goes on to some, I totally recommend these cards because it goes on to some beautiful stories about horses. It's one thing, okay, to try and be like something. It's one thing to try and build an intention, but it is only in sharing the stories of the wisdom gained that we really hone in on the skill there, our own included, particularly as we go into 2026. Oh yeah, consensual leadership draws on the wisdom and sentience of the entire herd. It is to a great extent made from improvisation. Sometimes when we're undecided about which road to take, we look to the most confident, invested, or enthusiastic person. When there's conflict, we agree to consult outside experts, yet sometimes even then the path is not clear. In these cases, I may have to follow my gut, though I'm still dubious as to the exact right course of action. Mostly, however, we all have to acknowledge that we do not know the one true right way, that authentic community itself is a work in progress. Beautiful. Okay, so the other card that we have is 14. What has Linda called it here? Eye of the Storm. The emotional collection, finding your center and developing the witness. Waves rear like horses as the storm surges forward, but the eye in the center looks calmly towards the shore. Next year, there will be a lot around communication and magic, obviously, because of the year of the magician and the year of the one and Mercury and so much going on. However, the emphasis will be on our perception, how we translate things based on what we see or aren't prepared to see. But that will take another level in that it will be on the level of mediumship. As we recognize that what we see in our perception actually bases our reality. This is not something that we don't know, but we will become more able to recognize it on a far greater level. So I'm not surprised to see the eye of the storm here. When you learn to use emotion as information, you no longer panic in response to strong feelings, but the challenge can be a tendency to suppress uncomfortable emotions, which leads to whirlwinds of uncontrollable expression later. Rather than float above the storm or ignore it altogether, leap into the center and discover its origins. The eye is clear. The sky is clear in the eye of the hurricane. So here she Linda continues to talk about emotional intelligence. I want to stretch that further because intelligence means to understand. Okay, next year, yes, it will be about understanding our emotions. It will be about communicating with our emotions and creating with our emotions. But more than that, it is our capacity to be our emotions. Now, I know that goes against the grain. We're not our thoughts, right? We're not our feelings, right? They are us and we are them, just like the elements belong to the earth. The more we can embrace that without the judgment, without the need to fix, and without the need to control, rise above, or as Linda says, ignore, but go right into the center of them. Allow them to become the torus of channeled energy that goes through us with awareness. It's an emotional awareness. It's not an emotional intelligence. And intelligence is to try and understand something, and awareness is to be of and to relate and to become something. It's that's going to bring forward the transformation of the 33 card, the Fire Horse card. Let's have a look. Bonfire, the sudden shift, the clearing and releasing, the fuel for transformation. A rearing horse demanding attention draws power from his blazing herd. The gift is, whether by choice or circumstance, tremendous energy is to become available, to burn through any blocks to a wider view. The challenge brings the fact that it's no small task to stay present during intense outbursts of power, whether human, equine, or divinely inspired. Be ready to face areas of resistance that have grown into a volatile source of fuel for the fire. Okay, there's nothing I want to add to that from Linda's other than to recognize what fire is. It transforms, it warms up, it burns through, it creates, and then it transforms into ash. It's a cycle. These emotions are transformative. They will trigger, they will glimmer, they will bring up something, they will help you to create with that if you can continue to follow it through, and they will then be transformed. So often we are encouraged to admit that this too will pass. If we can breathe through something or ignore it or, meditate or separate ourselves or witness, which I'm a big fan of witnessing. So often we are encouraged to do just that, but not finish the cycle. This year was about completion and allowing things to come to a closure. Next year is change. What has finished? What have we gained? What has already been transformed? What can we take forward as a result of that? The Christ-like consciousness, the 33, the self-mastery, the sacred union, whatever name you want to give it. Whatever has happened now, how will we take that forward in our actions? It's one thing to cite references to religious books or to share quotes. I share quotes all the time, right? It's one thing to do all of these things. How are we living that? Are we living that? 2026 is going to ask us to consciously have a contract between spirituality, physicality, the horse and the rider, the masculine, the feminine, the light, the dark, in our actions. This isn't about walking our truth. This isn't about talking our path. This is about becoming it once and for all in everything that we do. Only then are we going to see how much has been transformed into 2026. I will not be back until January, or I have no plans to be back until January. So I'd like to take this moment to wish you all happy holidays, however you choose to celebrate them, and a beautiful, safe entry into 2026. And I shall see you the other side. Take care.